All right, wonderful. Can everybody hear me okay? Excellent. Whew, and my camera's working today. Been having some technical difficulties later, so it was like on a hope and a prayer this morning that the camera was working. I got to get that looked at. Well, wonderful. It's great to see you guys. Happy Friday. Happy Cinco de Mayo. And welcome to another episode of Success Principles. Right on. Well, today we're going to be talking about what Napoleon Hill called the workshop of the mind, which is, of course, the imagination, the workshop of the mind. But before we get into that, I wanted to start with a short story today. Okay, a short story. And in about 1843, there was a man by the name of Dr. Russell Cromwell. Okay, and if my memory serves me correctly, he was a preacher, I believe, but he was also a lawyer, a philosopher, and a philanthropist. I don't know if I said that correctly. Philanthropist. There we go. That's better. And Dr. Cromwell, he had an idea to start a school, a university specifically, for underprivileged but deserving young students. Okay. And he figured that he needed about $7 million to open this school. Okay. $7 million. And if you can think back to like the 1800s, $7 million, that's a lot of money. I mean, that's a lot of money in today's age, isn't it? I can only imagine what that would have been like in the 1800s. And Dr. Cromwell had this idea, and he decided that he was going to raise the money by giving a series of lectures across the United States. And Dr. Cromwell went on tour and he gave over 6,000 lectures and ended up raising the $7 million to open this university. Okay. And the topic at the university or at the lectures that he delivered was a story called the Acres of Diamonds. Acres of Diamonds. Are any of you guys familiar with that story? Acres of Diamonds? No? Okay. Oh, it's super interesting. I'm going to share a little link to Spotify. There's like a little 10-minute link that you guys can check out if you like to, if you guys would like to hear this story. But essentially, as the story goes, and this is a true story, okay, keep in mind, this is a true story, that there was a farmer in Africa who owned a plot of land there, owned a land, a farm himself. And he had heard through the grapevine that there were people that were discovering diamonds and mining diamonds in other parts of Africa. And he had the idea, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out and try to see if I can find some diamonds too. Strike it rich. And so he sold his farm and went traveling. And for years and years and years, this man searched unsuccessfully for diamonds all across Africa. Okay. And sadly, after years of searching unsuccessfully for diamonds, this African farmer, he ended up throwing himself into a river and sadly committing suicide. Okay. Well, in the meantime, unbeknownst to him, the man who purchased his farm ended up discovering what was at the time one of the world's largest diamonds. Okay, he was going for a walk and he crossed this stream and he kicked a rock and he looked down and he thought, "Oh, holy smokes, what's this?" And he holds it up and he inspects it, and wouldn't you know it, one of the world's largest diamonds to ever be discovered at the time. With a little bit of research and a little bit of digging, they discovered that actually the land that that farmer had originally owned was one of the world's wealthiest diamond mines or pieces of land that contained a vast amount of diamonds. And I think, wow, I mean, talk about heartbreaking for that farmer who sold the land. Okay. But the catch is that the diamond that that man discovered that he tripped on while he was going for a walk was in its rough state. And a diamond doesn't look like a diamond before it's refined, before it's polished, and before you get a little bit of like elbow grease to make it shine, bring a nice shine out. And what's required when it comes to diamonds of that sort are the knowledge of what a diamond actually looks like in its rough state, a little bit of an imagination to know, what is and what there has the potential to be, and a little bit of work to give it that nice shine. You know what I mean? Now, let me ask you, what's significant about that story for you? What do you think the moral of this story is? Why am I sharing that today? What stood out for you? Aside from the obvious poor farmer who threw himself in the river. Yeah, Brett.
A diamond cannot be polished without friction.
Well, okay, a diamond can't be polished without friction. Well, that's the truth, hey? So you're saying sometimes you need to get roughed up a little bit to really kind of bring out the shine in you.
Yeah, I think Steve Harvey put it well when like you can't a seed can't become a tree unless you put some dirt on top of it.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah, Steve Harvey. I love Steve Harvey, hey? Yeah. Cool. I like that. That's good, Brett. Anything else? What jumps out at you guys? What do you think the moral of the story is for you? What's a takeaway anyway?
Maybe if you nurture and take care of what you already have, um, that you don't need to go elsewhere and look for other things that maybe they're right in front of you. You just have to look for them and
Right.
take care of them.
Isn't that the truth, hey? I think so oftentimes we kind of fall into this trap of believing that the things that we want are in some far off distant land, or they're out of reach, that they're somewhere else, whether it's love,
Yeah.
whether it's success, whether it's wealth or happiness. We make the mistake of thinking sometimes that like the grass is always greener on the other side, you know, that happiness or success are to be found elsewhere. It's not possible that, hey, we're each have our own acre of diamonds. But the truth is that in a lot of ways, every single one of us is sitting on our own acre of diamonds right now. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I think that each of us have our own ideas, our individual gifts, okay? We have skills, we have knowledge, and we have probably opportunities that are right under our nose that maybe we're not quite looking at, or maybe haven't quite discovered yet. Or maybe just like the farmer here, we still see it in its rough state and don't see the potential for what that diamond could be if we put a little bit of elbow grease into it and gave it a nice shine. We all have that opportunity within us. We're all sitting on an acre of diamonds right now. Now, the truth is that, there are unbelievable opportunities that are right in front of us that come in like everyday normal occurrences. I was thinking about some of the things that have gone big over the last, number of years and that sort of thing. And started thinking about, the guy who invented pet rocks. You guys remember that? Yeah, are you guys familiar with that? Like that concept or that idea, the pet rock? Okay. It's crazy to me. But somebody had their imagination, through the use of their imagination, had the idea to come up with what he termed the pet rock. Now, this was back in 1975, but this is before our days. But I mean, I remember the idea. And I looked it up, and this guy didn't just sell like a rock. He went to the extent of like creating these little cardboard boxes. He put straw and stuff inside of it to make a little nest. He even punched like air holes in there so that the rock could breathe as if it was like a creature or a cargo container for like live cargo. And get this, he had a little manual. Okay, I think he had to pay separate for the manual, but it was a little upsell for him. He had a little manual that would teach you, give you instructions and teach you on how to train your rock to do things like sit rock, stay. It's unreal. Okay. Some people maybe thought it was crazy, but some people loved it. And that guy made over $15 million in 6 months. $15 million. Okay. Think, wow, that's unreal. Just take a normal, ordinary rock, dress it up a little bit, package it, and sell it. Brilliant. Or what's another one that I was thinking about? The Snuggie. Be honest, guys, just by a show of hands here, who's got a Snuggie? Brett's probably got like 4 of them. Brett, you got like 4 Snuggies or what? I don't have one either, but I know. Yeah, you got one, Melissa? You do? Yeah. I can only imagine how, is it pretty comfortable or what?
No, because when I'm reading at night, my arms are freezing.
Your arms are cold.
So that one that's open, you can put it on backwards, and then your arms don't get cold when you're reading in bed.
So they work, huh?
It works for me.
There's some practical use to these Snuggies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I mean, what's it made of? Is it just kind of a fleece material or cotton or something like that?
Yeah, this one's like fleece.
This one's fleece?
Yeah.
So somebody just took like a big sheet of fleece, cut a couple holes in it, laid it out and designed it, packaged it up and sold them on late night television or something like that. And the Snuggie has sold something like $300 million in the last, since its inception in 2008 or whatever it was. $300 million. Or get this, bottled water. Something that each of us have access to in our kitchen. Something that, all of it, it's pretty much free, or at least coming out of the tap, it's going to be pennies a liter. But we go to the store and the convenience of it, right? What are we paying at the store? A couple bucks. It's wild. Yeah, Brett's got one right there. Melissa.
For anybody.
Oh, we lost your mic again.
Oh, there we go. For anybody who has small kids, I'm sure you've all watched on YouTube all the different channels and people that are on there. Right. And there is a guy who, I don't know what, maybe in 2012, he started his channel, 2013 when Paw Patrol came out, and he literally has videotaped himself playing with all the Mattel toys and like Paw Patrol toys, and he videos it, and then he does voiceover on it. We looked him up because I was like, oh, I could have done this when Esme was born. Right. And he's worth $8 million.
Oh, at least, I'm sure. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to film yourself opening up kids' presents and kids' toys and let the kids play with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if your kids might be aware of Kindly Keen. Kindly Keen had a similar idea. I don't know if he was the one who came up with this, but my kids love him. And pretty much all he does is a screen share, and my kids will sit and watch him play video games for hours. Another person playing video. My kid's not even playing video games. He's just watching them play video games. And he's probably a multimillionaire too. It's wild what's possible. It's wild what's possible with a little imagination.
That guy who does Minecraft games?
Yeah, well, that too, right? Yeah.
Fuck that
guy. Right. But it's wild what's possible with a little imagination, repurposing, repackaging, and delivering an idea. But here's the thing, just like that farmer, the opportunities that are right under our nose might not be immediately evident. You're probably going to require a little bit of refinement a little bit of polishing, a little bit of imagination. But imagination, Napoleon Hill said the imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force that the world has ever known. The imagination. In fact, Albert Einstein, arguably one of the world's most intelligent people, he said that the imagination is actually more important than IQ. He said the reason for that is because, well, IQ, it will get you from A to B, but the imagination will take you anywhere. I love that. I think that's beautiful. The truth is that the imagination is an extremely powerful tool. Extremely powerful, just like Napoleon Hill saying. But here's the thing, just like any powerful tool, it can be used constructively or destructively. You can be used constructively or destructively. Now, I often say that, you better learn to use your imagination, or your imagination will use you. And if you allow your imagination to use you, you know what happens? Quite frankly, you can become its whipping boy. You just might not like the kinds of things and the kinds of places your imagination goes. If you're anything like me, the imagination can get overrun with fear and doubt and insecurity, and it can go to some pretty deep, pretty dark places pretty quickly. But the imagination is extremely powerful. We have the potential, we have the power to literally create something out of nothing. We have the power to create something out of nothing. That's a creative power, isn't it? 100% it is. What we're really talking about here, is we're talking about the transmutation of energy. How do you take something and how do you take nothing and create something? It's the transmutation of energy. As some of you might recall, we watched a couple of movies last fall. One was called The Secret. It was all about manifestation. Okay, how to manifest at will. Right? And the follow-up, the sequel to that, is literally called How Thoughts Become Things. How thoughts become things. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the transmutation of energy. Okay. Now, as much as you might believe that we live in a physical world, we do not. We live in a thought universe. We live in a thought universe. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that every single physical thing that's around you right now, just take a look around your room for a second, or take a look around your vehicle, or take a look around your office. Every single thing around you in the physical world got its origin from an idea. It started as a thought. Okay, so this pen that I'm holding, this pen is not a pen. This is a thought in the form of a pen. If you follow back the creation of this pen, it began as an idea or a thought in somebody's mind. Then they probably took the steps to draw it out on paper or write down some instructions and plan on how they're going to create it. Then and only then did it ever actually appear in the physical world as a pen. This mug that I'm holding here, this is one of my favorites. This is one that Jamie created for me. This mug is not just a mug. This mug is a thought in the form of a mug. Okay, this
That's
workbook.
Starry Night.
Yeah, right. Totally, 100%. Good eye, Brett. Good job, Jamie. This workbook, okay? This workbook is not just a workbook. This is a thought in the form of a workbook. This is an idea. This is a thought, okay? Everything around you is the effect of a thought. Okay. As far as I know, God or the universe never created a table and chairs. He didn't create the house either. What he did do was create the means and the material for us to create tables, chairs, cars, phones, and everything else around us. When you guys really start to think of the world around us in terms of like through this lens, you'll start to see thoughts everywhere. Everything in the physical world is the result or the effect. You know, if we think about the universal law number one is cause and effect. While everything in the physical world around us is the effect. The effect of what? Well, the cause being a thought. Okay. Now, there's two specific types of imagination. Two specific types of imagination. Okay. First one is called synthetic imagination. Okay. Now, you can think of it a little bit like, here, I'm going to actually draw this out here for a second. Those of you who aren't aware, this is our stickman, okay? And this is meant a model to represent the human mind. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about how thought energy moves through a human being, okay? The transmutation of thought energy. All right. So here we got two people, okay? Let's say they're having a conversation, okay? Having a conversation and saying it's Friday afternoon, it's Friday night, and they're talking about what their plans to do this weekend are, and that kind of thing. Okay, well, this person here is going to, they've got an idea in their mind what they'd like to do. Maybe they say, voice it to this person, and they say over here, well, hey, you know what we should do? It's Friday night. It's Cinco de Mayo. Okay? Let's go get some tacos and tequila. What do you think? Okay. Well, this person here is going to have an idea planted in their mind. Okay. And if this idea is emotionally invested in, or this person gets emotionally invested in this idea, what happens is it becomes a desire, and that desire gets acted on, and the result becomes going out for tacos and tequila. Maybe the result the next day is that person doesn't feel so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, right? We talk about how suggestion is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. You know, this person could very easily say, well, hey, you know what we should do? Let's go for a workout. It's Friday night. Meet me at the bar, meaning the workout bar, meaning the gym, meaning let's hit some reps, okay? Well, if this person has an idea planted in their mind to go to the gym, okay, they get emotionally invested in that, it becomes a desire, and if that desire is acted on, the result will be very different than this one, won't it? 100%. Now, synthetic imagination, okay, is like the blending of two ideas, okay? So you can think of it a little bit like this. Okay, you can think of it a little bit like this. Like, for instance, my workbook, okay? My workbook. This came about as the result of what's called synthetic imagination, okay? Now, I was having a conversation with somebody a number of years ago, and he was talking, this is in the midst of COVID, and his work had been shut down. And he was talking about how what he had done recently was started a book club. And the book that they were reading was a book that we've actually talked about before by Vishen, who's the founder of Silva Mind Control Method. We're going to be talking about a little bit later. And the book that they were reading was called The Code of the, what is it? The Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishen, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. And he told me that he had a group of people that got together and they were reading through this as kind of a book club type of thing. And he was charging people a few $100 to do this. And he had supplemented his income by doing that. And I thought, huh. And this is what happened. He shares this idea with me about book club, plants the idea in my mind. Well, at that time, I had never read that book and I wasn't prepared to really poach that idea from him. So I thought, well, I don't have a book in mind that I would do a book club for, but I do have some material that I used for a men's retreat that I organized. And I wonder if I repurposed that, renamed it, threw a different title page on it, if I might be able to create my own masterclass based on some of my own information and some of my own ideas and create some sort of income that way. And what I did was I got emotionally invested in it. Thought, yeah, you know what? Damn, that's a real good idea. I think I can do that. I'm not exactly sure how yet, but I'm going to try to figure this out as I go. That desire informed the actions that I took, inspired my behavior, and the result is today what we call Unstuck. This program has since been delivered in multiple languages, which still blows my mind, to countless people in Canada, the US, and India. India. It's crazy to me. Okay. But this should alert you to the importance of your peer group and the importance of the ideas that people are planting in your mind. Now, is your environment and the people in your environment, are they talking about ideas? Are they talking about investments? Are they talking about business? Or are they talking about TV programs? Are they gossiping about one another? Talking about Susie from accounting, that total biatch, Susie, you know? What kinds of conversations are the people in your environment having? Okay. So the first form of imagination is what's called synthetic imagination. It's like taking two ideas and the two ideas have sex together and you get a new idea. It's like a blending of the two ideas to create something that's new, a different version of it. Okay. Now this mug of Jamie's, I'm not sure what Jamie's imagination or creative process looked like. Okay. Maybe it was synthetic. Maybe it was like, you know, she was looking at some art books and saw The Starry Night, and at the same time was getting ready to do you know, throw some clay. And she thought, oh, you know, it would be kind of cool if I made a clay inspired by Starry Night. I don't know. Maybe that's what we could ask her. Is that what happened, Jamie?
Funny story. I was creating a mug and I had a totally different vision of what I was creating. And it turned out not like how I originally wanted. It actually turned out looking like Starry Night. So then I'm like, oh, I'm going to create a mug that actually is Starry Night. And you have the original one. And another funny thing is Tamara actually got the mistaken Starry Night.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe there was a little blending there.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, yeah, I'm going to erase this guy here. Actually. So the first form of imagination is called synthetic imagination, a blending of ideas, okay, to create a new idea or something new, something different, okay? The next form of imagination is what's called creative imagination. Creative imagination. Now, creative imagination can be thought of in terms of like, you know, inspiration from infinite intelligence, or like a flash of inspiration or an idea that just comes to you, it hits you out of nowhere. Okay. Or, you know, it could be like something that, you know, you wake up with an idea in your mind, something that you had never previously thought of before. Okay. That's the second form of imagination, and it's called creative imagination. Now, here's the thing. The deeper that I get into personal development, the more I realize the spiritual component of it. And I used to believe that it was all about the hacks, all about the steps, all about the tools, all about the processes, you know, the 6-minute abs and the, you know, it's all about counting macros and counting, you know, it's all about the exercise. And what I realize much later is that we're spiritual beings at our core. We're spiritual beings that have an intellect, and we live in a physical body. Okay. We're spiritual beings. Okay. We have an intellect, and we live in a physical body. A lot of times people that make the mistake of thinking that they are their body, that they possess a mind, and that they have a soul. But that's not true. We are a soul, and we live in a physical body. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Our spiritual beings, okay, we're talking about the transmutation of thought energy. Transmutation of thought energy. Now, Albert Einstein said that everything is energy. That's just all there is to it. Okay, everything is energy. That's all there is to it. And the first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change into form, through form, and out of form. It's always moving in and out and through form. Okay. Now, spiritual beings, okay, there's a part of the universe, okay, that's its MO is to grow and to expand and to create. That's why if anything ever happened to humanity, if we end up eventually one day destroying ourselves and nuking everybody on the planet, like we might very well do someday, okay, life will continue. It might not look the same way as it does today. Humans might not be around, but life always finds a way, doesn't it? I've seen enough Planet Earth movies and DVDs and things like Attenborough to tell me that life always finds a way. Okay. Well, the universe, because we're a part of the universe, is constantly trying to express itself to us and through us. It's constantly trying to express itself to us and through us. Sometimes we'll get a direct download from infinite intelligence in the form of an idea. Sometimes it's a want. Sometimes it's a goal. Okay, sometimes some form of inspiration that can come directly from infinite intelligence. Okay, and here's what happens. That thought or that idea can do one of two things. That's it. One of two things. Okay, first thing that it can do is get bing, hit up against your paradigm and get rejected. The thought can get rejected. The idea can get rejected. Some part of you might think, well, I know that sounds like a great idea, but who the hell's got time for that? Oh, I'd love to do that, but ain't nobody got money for that kind of thing. Or, hey, you know what? That would be a lot of fun, but I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I need more education. I wouldn't even know how to try something like that. And the paradigm will kick that right out. Or, so that's the first thing that can happen. Or the idea gets lodged in your subconscious mind as a desire. You get emotionally involved in the thought, emotionally involved in the desire, and it influences the actions that you're taking or not taking and creates a result or an effect. Okay. But the universe is always trying to communicate with us. It's always suggesting or giving us ideas in the form of downloads, inspiration, ideas. But the catch is, here's the thing. The mind needs to be vibrating at an exceedingly high rate to be receptive and open to those ideas. They don't just come about randomly. The mind has to be prepared and open to them. Otherwise, the conscious mind and the paradigm just kills it. Sometimes it's in a fraction of a second. In fact, I'm reading Think and Grow Rich yesterday, and it says that the creative imagination, he says, this faculty functions only when the conscious mind is vibrating at an exceedingly rapid rate. For example, when the conscious mind is stimulated through the emotion of a strong desire. So let me ask you, we've talked before about raising our vibration, raising our frequency. What are some things that you guys can do that raise your vibration or raise your frequency or improve your mood? Brett?
I actually did this today. I caught myself getting into kind of like a shitty mood, and I just changed the music that I was listening to, and instantly it was like, ding, it's all better now. Change the input.
Well, you harmonized with the frequency of the music.
Yeah, I was listening to like thrash metal. And then I changed it to like something a little nicer. I was like, oh wow, I feel infinitely better.
It lifted that mood, huh?
Yeah, immediately I felt better.
Right on. Yeah, music will do that in a heartbeat. There's a reason why we put on like upbeat kind of pop tempo music here first thing in the morning. Wipe away those cobwebs, get everybody moving, get everybody thinking, get everybody's mood elevated, raise the vibration. 100%.
Think about it, music comes in a certain frequency, right?
Totally it would. Yeah.
It instantly changes your frequency.
Right. Jamie sent something to me this morning about the healing power of nature. Nature operates at a specific frequency, and we talked about this on one of our prior calls. Nature operates, the earth has its own frequency, and its frequency is 7.83, I believe. Right. And when we spend time in nature, we are unconsciously absorbing that and becoming in tune with the frequency of nature. That's why we always feel better after going for a walk in the woods, or why I'm so addicted to going down to the ocean and hanging out, letting the waves crash on the shore. It's not just because it's beautiful, because where it changes the way that we feel. We are all unconsciously absorbing the energy and the frequency of our environment. Melissa?
Yeah, something I do know that kind of goes into my health coaching stuff is that when like grounding, when you take your shoes off and you actually walk on grass or the earth or sand or whatever it is, studies have shown that your microbiome, so your gut health, instantly changes. Even somebody like that puts their hands in the dirt when you're in the garden, your microbiome instantly changes, and your good bacteria, you have an increase in good bacteria, a decrease in bad bacteria, like lots of things, which is also where 80% of your serotonin is created, is in your gut. So I mean, that's all so interconnected.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Changes your gut biome. It changes your energy. It changes your mood, like you're saying, like almost instantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. What other kind of things raise your mood or raise your vibration?
Exercise.
Exercise. Yeah, that'll do it. Hey, for sure it would. Yeah. Yeah, I learned something, Jamie.
I was just gonna say, like Melissa was saying, how important your gut health is. So whenever I find that I'm in a bad mood or something, I'll just need to go eat something nutritious. And I'm instantly like, whoa, that was night and day.
Right. Yeah, 100%. For sure. Well, if you're anything like me, I get a little hangry too. So yeah, it's not good to be not, have an empty stomach.
Mm.
Get a snack in you. Well, hey, I wanted to show I learned something the other day that I thought was fascinating. And we're talking about desire. Okay. We're talking about how getting emotionally involved in a goal or emotionally involved in a want is what helps move us through some of the adversity or the difficulty or some of the challenges that we're going to face. Did you know that the word emotion and motivation have the same root word? The word emotion and motivation have the same root word, and both of it stem, they have its roots in Latin from the word movere, which means to move. And when you get emotionally involved in a goal and you allow that emotion to drive you, that's what's going to infiltrate or determine the actions and the behaviors that you take or don't take. Is that emotion. Now, what are the kinds of things that improve our emotion? Well, things like gratitude, things like nature, things like love, right? Being able to tap into that at will when you know those kinds of things to improve your mood are going to improve the result. Now, Napoleon Hill says that the great leaders of business, industry, and finance, the great artists, musicians, poets, and writers became great because they developed the faculty of creative imagination. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to read this one more time. The great leaders of business, industry, and finance, the great artists, musicians, poets, and writers became great because they developed the faculty of creative imagination. Sometimes I made the mistake of thinking they got lucky. Sometimes I made the mistake of thinking that it was hard work. They made an intentional use of the creative imagination, making more of an effort to connect with that infinite intelligence through things like time in nature, maybe exercise too, daydreaming for sure. We talked before about the power of sleep and those moments when you're in alpha or theta state just before waking up and just as you lay your head down to bed. But you think some of the greatest minds and some of the greatest creators, people like Steve Jobs, who created the iPhone, right? Or Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci had plans and ideas. He created drawings that predicted, or I guess invented the helicopter. This is back in like the 1500s. That's crazy. Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, as many of you guys know. But here's the thing, what you might not realize is that Thomas Edison, although he was a big napper and a huge advocate for connecting with higher intelligence, he actually created the light bulb by a blending of ideas, which is our synthetic imagination. He took two principles that everybody was aware of and everybody knew, married them together and created the light bulb. At the time, everybody knew, it was very common. People knew that if you put an electrical charge through a wire filament, it gets hot. But what would happen is that it would get too hot and it would burst into flames. Okay. Everybody also knew at the time that if you create a vacuum where you suck all the oxygen out, a flame cannot exist inside of a vacuum. A flame needs oxygen to burn, doesn't it? Everybody knew that at the time too. Now, here's the thing. Thomas Edison struggled with that idea, that concept, and he worked at, the story goes, 10,000 tries before he landed upon the idea of, hey, well, I wonder, what if I created a vacuum and I sucked all of the oxygen out of the light bulb and put the filament in there? I wonder what would happen then. And when he did that, he discovered, wouldn't you know it, the light bulb as we know it today. But then there's inventors and creators and people like Elias Howe. Elias Howe was the inventor of the sewing machine. That idea came to him, Elias, in a dream. Very different experience. Came to Elias in the form of a dream. He woke up one night and realized that he had stumbled upon something that had never before been created. And he thought, there's an unbelievable opportunity. But the greatest minds and the greatest inventors, business people, writers, philosophers, artists, entrepreneurs, all got their start by making better use of their creative imagination. Now, this line jumped out at me and kind of struck a chord. This one hurt a little bit, to be honest with you guys. This one hurt a little bit. This is in the chapter on imagination. And Napoleon Hill says that if you are one of those who believe that hard work and honesty alone will bring riches, perish the thought. It's not true. Riches, when they come in huge quantities, are never the result of hard work. Riches come, if they come at all, in response to definite demands based upon the application of definite principles and not by chance or by luck. I had a real strong emotional reaction when I read that. And here's why. I realized that part of my programming growing up, part of my paradigm was just like all of you, formed by the opinions expressed by my parents. And one of the things that I heard over and over and over again was, oh, you got to work hard. There's a reason why they call it work and not play. Work, 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 work. And I owe that to my parents. Now, is that all bad? No, it's not all bad. I mean, I think it's important to have like a strong work ethic. But I was misled. And part of my paradigm was the belief that if I just worked harder and did more, that somehow I'd get rich, that I'd be happy, that I'd be successful. And the truth is that hard work is only a small fraction of the puzzle. It's only a piece of it. It's not the entire thing. If that were true, then grave diggers and roofers and framers and construction people would be loaded, right? Those are hardworking guys. But the truth is that, you know, the capitalist model is actually built on the premise that you have to be paid less than the value that you're producing. Can't pay you more than you're worth. Can't pay you as much as you're worth. Otherwise, what? There's no profit. The capitalist economy is built on paying employees less than they're worth. So if you ever go to work and some days feel like you're being paid less than the value that you bring, or that you're maybe being used or taken advantage of, now I'm not saying you do feel that way, but if you ever do feel that way, well, chances are it's probably true. Because you have to be. Now, Bob Proctor asked a real powerful question, and the first 10 times I ever heard this question, I didn't understand it. But he asked, if you want to make more money, you know where to find the money? And I thought, no, tell me, Bob, tell me, where's the money? And he said, it's in your imagination. And I thought, what the hell is that even supposed to mean? Quit it with the riddles, old man. Come on, give me the answer. You know, where's the money? He said, it's in your imagination. And that's the truth. And what I realized today is that what I needed to become was become a creator. to become idea conscious. Idea conscious. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, he says, there is no standard price on ideas. The creator of ideas makes his own price. I thought that was super powerful. Who's setting your price? We're working for an hourly rate. We've got a job description. Who decides that? But if you have an idea, you're creating a product or a service. Sounds to me like Napoleon Hill saying that you can create any price that you want. Napoleon Hill says that our only limitation is a lack of will and a poverty of imagination. A lack of will and a poverty of imagination. Well, what does he mean by that? Well, most people's imagination is pretty dormant. But I've got good news. The imagination is just like a muscle. And the more that you use it, the more that you flex it, the stronger it becomes. And the better you become at using it. Now, for some of us, it's been a little while since we've used our imagination. Napoleon Hill suggests that you start by implementing your synthetic imagination, by making better use of the synthetic imagination, by looking around and taking inspiration from what other people are doing. Learn from them, look at their models. How are they making money? How are they doing things? How can I adapt that to my situation? Truth is that we've never lived in a time with this much opportunity, with this much access to ideas and information. And since the invention of the internet and the ability to connect on a global scale in a second to get ideas out there, we've never had so much potential as we do today. But are we seeing the potential? Are we seeing our own acres of diamonds? You know, I just stumbled upon something on online the other day that I've got a friend from Saskatoon. Maybe some of you guys know him. His name is Chad Coombs. And Chad Coombs, I used to play soccer with a long time ago. And I ran into him a couple of years ago at a restaurant in downtown Saskatoon. And he was bartending there. And, you know, it looks as though like he's invested a significant amount of time and energy into his career as a bartender. And he knew his stuff. He was polished and professional and that kind of thing. And I see online here that what he's done is he's developed a brand of bar aprons for professional bartenders. And it's called Search and Rescue Denim. And they look real cool. They're like denim material, got a couple like, you know, carefully placed pockets. It's got the straps are made of leather, and it's got these cool like brass like links or like clips, connecting pieces. Yeah, straps. So it looks super good. And I thought, what a brilliant idea. You know, as a bartender, you're getting, you know, syrup and stuff splashed all over you all the time. I thought, wow, there's a guy who's taken an idea, taken an idea from nothing and turned it into something. The transmutation of thought energy. He's also created a stream of revenue from thin air, from nothing, something that was previously non-existent. Now he's working as a bartender, and who knows, maybe this thing will take off for him and he'll decide that that's what he wants to do full time. Now, here's the thing, is that the truth is that it doesn't just apply to finances. You know, Bob Proctor said, you know, do you want to know how to earn more money? The money's in your imagination. The truth is that the answer to every question can be found in your imagination. You want to improve your health? That answer is also in your imagination. You want to improve your relationships? That answer is also in your imagination. You want to be happier? That's in your imagination too. See, your mind is like a giant supercomputer. And I've often said that one of the best habits that you can develop is the habit of asking yourself questions. And the reason is because if you ask yourself a question, you're not really just asking yourself. There's a part of you that's infinite. There's a part of you that's tapped into a higher intelligence. And if you ask yourself a question and you're open to receiving an honest answer, you'll get it. The problem that a lot of people make is they say things that interrupt the problem-solving process. So instead of asking themselves, well, how can I afford that? They state, I can't afford that. And the brain says, okay, end of problem solving. Instead of asking themselves, how would I do that? They say, I don't know how to do that. Instead of asking, how could I do that? How could I earn more money? Where's my potential? Where's the opportunity? For those of you who've been following along for a little while, we just wrapped up the Silva mind control method, which I still have access to if anybody else is looking at, wants to revisit. But Silva talks about the importance of sending a message or a question up to higher intelligence, preferably just before you go to bed. He said that the answers that come to you might shock you. That's the result of your creative imagination. Now, here's the thing. Does that mean that every idea that you have is going to be $1 billion or $1 million idea? No, probably not. But this is really interesting. I've asked this question to countless people in different industries and different businesses and things like that. And I'll ask them, what idea are you sitting on right now that you have yet to act on? And I'll tell you what, every single person that I've asked that question to has an answer. And the reason is because everybody's got ideas. Everybody has ideas on how to improve their situation, things that they could do to improve their health, things that they could do to improve their wealth, things that they could do to improve their happiness. Not everybody's acting on them, but everybody's got them. So let me ask you, how do you make practical use of ideas? What do you got to do? How do you make a practical use of an idea?
Didn't act on it.
You got to act on it. Yeah. Maybe even before that. What could you do even before you act on it?
To make a decision.
Make a decision. Right. Couple things. Janelle.
I'm gonna say write it down.
Write it down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Melissa.
Create a process like pen to paper. Yeah.
Create a process. Okay. Yeah, you guys are on the right track. Make a decision. Write it down. But here's the key piece. You guys want to know the key? Get emotionally invested in the idea. Get emotionally invested in the idea. And allow that emotion to drive inspired action. Now, here's the thing. We all have ideas. Okay? Each and every single one of us have ideas on how to improve our situation. But oftentimes what happens is that idea, it's like a little seedling, like a sprout. And it's at its most vulnerable when it's young. That idea gets planted in your mind and it's not real strong yet. And if we're not careful, it can be extinguished. It hasn't had time to really plant down roots. It hasn't had time to grow a real firm trunk. It's weak. It's vulnerable. Vulnerable to what? All sorts of things. Our paradigm, the suggestions from others. But when you get emotionally involved in it and you start to take decisive action and committed action, inspired action, you'll start to create strength around that idea. In fact, it'll get to the point where if you persist in that long enough, that idea will take on a momentum of its own. And there might even be a point where you'll reach where that idea, it doesn't even need you to give it any more energy. But that idea has got an entire life of its own. It's a runaway train. You couldn't stop it if you tried. But at the start, it's just a little seedling. Just a little sapling. It needs you to give it life. So let me ask you, your homework this week is to ask yourself, what opportunities am I sitting on right now that I have yet to act on? Where's my acre of diamonds? Where's my acre of diamonds? What opportunities or ideas do I have right now that with a little bit of refinement, a little bit of modification, dress it up a little bit, could be worth diamonds? Cool. Any questions? Any comments? All right, guys. Well, hey, happy Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. And I look forward to catching up with you guys in the chat. Take care. Talk soon, guys.